So today the plan is go eat, go to orientation, get my bags, and then go to the bus station. Once I get to the bus station, I'm gonna go to London. I'm in London. Let me show you the room. And you walk in and there's 4 bunk beds. And here in this hostel, you have to pay extra if you want a top bunk, bottom bunk. But I'm on that one. And they didn't even do the bed for you. So I went ahead and just did that myself. Locker storage. I brought my own locks. I stuffed my duffel bag in there. There's a bunch of hooks and stuff to hang your bathrobes. And then there's these mirrors and stuff. Kind of like a vanity area. So now I'm gonna go eat and try and find a pub. It's cold, but I have my jacket and my cardigan, and I have my scarf. First, English dinner. After eating and drinking my margarita, because I despise the taste of beer, I went back to the hostel and slept before waking up for my first official day in London. It's raining. I'm walking towards my welcome event. It's fucking raining. The first stop of the welcome event was the Sky Garden. It's actually free for anybody to enjoy, tickets releasing weekly. I would really recommend it because it offered good views of the city. Next up though was Tower Bridge, which fun fact is commonly confused for London Bridge. We had a tour inside the towers, and after climbing up, I don't even know how many stairs, there was part of the ground that was made out of glass that you could walk over. It was definitely trippy, but I'm one to live on the edge, and I even jumped on it. Moving on, we went to the famous Borough Market for a quick lunch stop, where I got this delicious sandwich. And then once again, we started walking. On the way, we saw Globe Theatre, a famous recreation of Shakespeare's Elizabethan theatre, so I'll definitely have to come back and check it out. And then we walked across the Millennium Bridge. On the Millennium Bridge, famous for the Harry Potter Half-Blood Prince, the bridge collapses. Look at this view. Finally, we spotted St. Paul's Cathedral, which I recognize it as the place where Prince Charles and Diana had their wedding. It was way more grand in person because although they live streamed it, the cameras never pointed up towards the gorgeous ceiling. I'm not really religious, but it was rather moving to be in that place, especially since the night before I got the news that my grandmother passed away. I didn't even finish exploring before we called it a day. The next morning, I walked through the streets of Soho, which, side note, I haven't seen any neighborhood yet that doesn't have beautiful architecture here in England. Anyway, and then I hopped on my first London bus where I got to see the King's Lifeguard as we passed Whitehall. The bus took me all the way to my first stop of the day, the London Eye, also known as the Big Ferris Wheel. The views of the Big Ben in the city were quite nice, and I'm glad this was a free attraction part of my exchange program. Otherwise, I would not have paid money for it. Afterwards, I walked over to take a picture of Big Ben, and it felt kind of surreal to be standing there with such an iconic landmark. It actually felt kind of smaller than what I was expecting. I will definitely have to come back and take more pictures though. At that point, I stopped at a British pub for lunch and ordered the classic fish and chips. Food was good. Right here, this is where the entrance to the Ministry of Magic. There was a phone booth here. It was a prop, so they took it away when they finished filming. But Mr. Weasley and Harry descend into the Ministry of Magic with this phone booth. However, the Black Spires were not there before. I went on and continued to explore London and stopped by this hidden alleyway that is supposedly one of the inspirations for Diagon Alley. It was near Cecil Court. I also visited Piccadilly Circus, which was actually much smaller than I expected. I also was trying to pinpoint where in the Deathly Hallows movie Harry, Hermione, and Ron almost got run over by a bus. Close by there was this passage that I instantly recognized it as also from the Deathly Hallows movie, where Hermione tells Harry that her and Ginny had baked him a cake, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it. The sun sets pretty early, so after that it was time to call it a day. Heading towards Westminster Abbey. Once again, I hopped on the bus, and on the way I spotted some sort of premiere for Captain America Brave New World in front of the National Gallery, And I even got a glimpse of the Harrison Ford, which was fucking crazy. It's really pretty. I went in, but they didn't allow video recording, only pictures, so I took quite a lot. The stained glass windows were so beautiful when the sun hit them. This is a memorial for British soldiers, which is the only plaque in the Abbey that you can't step on. There was a lot of religious iconography and beautiful statues, including the tombstone of Queen Mary and Elizabeth I. The Gothic ceiling was also gorgeous, which reminded me of the hallways in the Harry Potter films. They also had memorials for British poets and authors called Poets' Corner. I was technically raised Catholic, so I'm used to the altar being the focal point of the church and easily viewed by all, but in this abbey, the view is obscured by these choir stalls. So this is Isaac Newton's tomb, which I was surprised that it was here. I did not know that. Once you pass the stalls, you see the grand altar, which at the very center of the floor is where they crown British monarchs. It's like considered the holiest place of the altar, I guess. The coronation chair is stored though by the entrance of the abbey behind black bars, so that visitors can't sit on it. Next, I walked through the courtyard of the abbey and stumbled on what is supposed to be Britain's oldest door, before I headed on the tube to my next destination, the Tower of London. This is the famous landmark where many prominent figures of history were executed, including some of my favorites, Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen. At this point, my phone died, so I had to charge it and didn't get the chance to take a lot of pictures or videos. The tower is also where the royal jewels and crowns are. This is definitely another place where I'll have to come back and explore what I didn't get to explore. My day wasn't over quite yet because I secured last-minute tickets to go see Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief musical on the West End, and I could not recommend it enough. As a fan, it was probably the best adaptation of the book. Afterwards though, I went to sleep and woke up the next morning to head back to Bristol.
Okay, it's early morning and I'm heading back to Bristol, sadly.
Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.